Hey guys, V. Rigoni, Max, high performance real estate entrepreneur. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is getting your priorities straight. You have to. In order to create some focus, you got to figure out what your priorities are going to be first, right? That's what we're going to be talking about as we go through this. And we're going to give a list of some of the things that you got to be looking at the end. So, hey, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get on with it. So what do I mean by getting your priorities straight? Well, because we have many things in our life that are always dragging us in a certain direction, right? If you're married, you got your wife dragging you one direction. If you got kids, they're dragging you another direction. If you got your parents, right, they're getting older all the time. They got something they want to do or something they need. Okay, all these things, right, are out there. Or maybe you're taking classes at the college and you got the homework to do. You got your job, right? You got your job. You got to go to work. You got to make money. You got to make sure all your bills get paid. I mean, it's freaking endless. It's endless. Endless amount of bullshit that you got to deal with on a daily basis. And what does that do? It screws up what your focus should be and what your focus should be on. What do I mean by that? Well, part of what I do here is let's just keep refining this a little bit more and more so that we can really get down to it. So if you're married, right, you've got to work around the house. You got things that got to be done. You've got a wife that wants to go do this or do that, or she's got a list, the honey-do list and all those things. And those are all really important. Yes, going to your kids' games and things of that nature are really important. But let me ask you, in the long run, if you gave up some of this and some of that, and you were able to gain your financial freedom, do you think it would have a bigger impact on your life than getting that honey-do list done on the weekend? Or we didn't even talk about the fact that, sports, we've done that in the past, but let's talk about it again. Maybe there's time to do the honey-do list and forget the sports, right? And I'm not talking about when you're going to go play sports. I'm not talking about you're golfing on it with your friends. I'm not talking about if you're on a hockey team and, all whatever. I get it. But I'm talking about when you're a professional fan, when you're watching 2 and 3 games on a Sunday, when by the time you go to bed on Sunday, you've watched at least 3 football games and you did at least 2 on the weekend, on Saturday, with college. And then when basketball starts up again, you're going to be, you're into that. Now, not only that, all the players, not just on your favorite team, all the players on all the damn teams. Priorities, man. What are your freaking priorities? Now, if your priorities are to be a professional fan, no problem. If your priorities are just to go to work and pay your bills, no problem. And I have a suggestion. Turn this off. Don't even freaking listen to me, because this is for people who want to reorient their priorities to some extent. It's like we talked about the last time. We talked about the fact that pay price to action. What are you willing to give up? What can you modify in your life so you can get your priorities straight and get some shit done? Move yourself towards what your ultimate goal should be. If you're listening to this channel, is financial freedom. That's right. It's financial freedom. Now, am I telling you to ignore your kids, ignore your wife, don't go to work? No, absolutely not. We've said over and over again, you need a job. You need a job and you want to, because you need to be able to create credit and you need to be able to create leverage. And so that comes from having an income, right? That's how you're going to get the ball rolling. Am I telling you to ignore your kids, don't go to their games? Absolutely not. But put your priorities in order. You're going to have to give something up. You're going to say, oh, this sounds like what you said before, because this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you become the person you want to be. And am I telling you don't go to the gym? No. But, just to touch on that, this idea that you have to be all buffed out in order to be successful is absolute bullshit. Now, yes, the gym can help. Listen, even Andrew Tate talks about the fact that you take a young man or a young woman that's dealing with some depression, you get them to work out, you get them in a program, it definitely can help on that level, right? So I'm not talking about that, but I am talking about some of this stuff where you see where everybody on the internet now is all buffed out, and that's one of the ways in which they succeed. Well, yeah, One of the guys, he succeeded from the fact that he had a gym and he taught other people how to run successful gyms. Hormozi. I mean, yes, and he's all buffed out and that's great, but it was in the line of work that he was doing. He couldn't he couldn't run a gym and not look like he was buffed out, right? Even Brad Lee, I believe that he started out by selling vitamins and all this other shit. And he has a company that does that. Yes, and so he better look the part. Those were his priorities, just like your priorities. So where is your priorities in all of this? So if you're going to, you got some issues, get to the gym, work on yourself, get your priorities straight. And my point is that there's a whole bunch of different things out there that you should be doing and not doing. Some of the things you have to do all of them, but what proportion of your life is going to be spent on that which is the most important to achieve your goals? Does it sound complicated? Well, it could be a little bit, but your life's complicated, isn't it? Does it seem to get less complicated or does it seem to get more complicated? Well, I can tell you one thing. The more you struggle with money, the more your life will be complicated. The more you struggle with money, the more it'll be difficult with marriage and with kids, okay, and with your job. That is just the way life works. So you've got to get your priorities straight. Yes, if you're suffering from some issues, some depression, get to the gym. Now, has it worked for me? No, I don't suffer from depression. I've never been a gym guy. I've never gone to the gym, never done that kind of stuff. Should I? Probably, But has it stopped me from getting to where I am today? No. Could it help? Maybe. Maybe it'll help you. Making sure that the honey-do list gets done, maybe like first thing in the morning on a Saturday, might help you get through the rest of the weekend and do the things you need to do for you. All right, whatever that day is that you're going to do that. Now, remember, when you're setting priorities, sometimes you got to, do certain things yourself, and sometimes you can hire other things out. How much time is it taking you to cut the grass and take care of the whole yard? And it's taking you 2 hours, 3 hours a weekend? Well, wait a second. When did cutting your grass and you're doing your own landscaping ever make you more money? When did it ever grow a business for you? When did it ever build a rental property? When did it ever build a rental property portfolio for you, of single family, of duplexes, of multifamily? When did it ever do any of that? Yes, some people like to cut the grass. I get it. Some people like to eat ice cream all day long. Should you be doing it? Probably not, unless you're on a cruise ship. Then people eat ice cream all freaking day. But my point is that even things you like to do, sometimes you have to give up. It isn't just reorienting the things that you don't like to do. And sometimes you have to bring in people that will take care of the jobs that you don't want to do to free your time up. Now, if you're paying someone to come cut your grass and then you're just sitting in front of the TV, well, that's bullshit. You're just not being true to yourself. But if by hiring someone to come and do some of the maintenance around the house, by hiring somebody and it frees you up in order to make 10 times that, 100 times that. If you're out looking at property, if you're out getting knowledge, if you're if you're fixing up a rental property while someone's cutting your grass at home, damn, that's what you want to do. Don't you get it? There's only so much you. Now, in my life, it seems like the complaint I've had by some people that are close to me is that there's too much Vic. Well, that's been my nature. You either like me or you don't. You either get where I'm going or you don't. And that's just the way life works. Now, what I'm saying to you is focus on what's your priorities. Sit down, make a list. What are your priorities? Yes, family, kids. I get it. They're all on your list. But then what about financial freedom? And where does that go? And what are you going to give up to get that financial freedom? What are you going to give up? Because you can't do all the bullshit you're currently doing. You can't hang around with your buddies all day, every evening. If you're single, you'll have more time on your hands, but that doesn't mean you're using it in any constructive manner, right? Start thinking about what you want to be doing in order to gain your financial freedom. One of those things is going to be, in order to create the priority list, is what vehicle do you want to do? What is the vehicle you want to use to get your financial freedom? Now this channel has been heavily focused on real estate, right? And I go to the most simple form of investing. As we go forward, we're going to be talking more about multifamily, more about all that. But right now we've been talking about single family. But at the same time, I tell you that right now, single family is tough. Yes, there's always a possible deal out there. Yes, but it's got to meet your parameters. It's got to fit into your priority list. And there's always a deal, but that doesn't mean that it's an easy deal. That doesn't mean that it's, that's it's going to be there for you to be able to do something with. But there might be other things that you can do right now. I always talk about, starting up businesses, right? Well, I would much rather see you actually buy a business. But if you say to me, Vic, how do I buy a business? Well, there's a whole bunch of ways to buy a business. We'll put that on the priority list. But the question, the bottom line is that even though real estate is a good opportunity, it's a path to wealth for most people. It may not be the best moment for you to be actually buying real estate. But like we talk about, then your priority should be knowing the market in which you want to invest in, spending the time going through the open houses, talking to the realtors, finding a good realtor. All these things can be how you're going to achieve your priority of financial freedom. So you got to create that vehicle. What is that vehicle going to look like for you? And then how much time are you going to spend in your week, in your day, trying to achieve those goals, trying to achieve that priority? All right. Now, if you say to me, like, why aren't you all in real estate? Well, because when we started trying to buy more real estate, it was already at the end of the real estate cycle. We had spent most of the last 10 years building a financial practice. Then when COVID hit, that's when we went heavy into real estate. We knew that the end of the cycle was there, but it was going to be extended because of all the money that the federal government was going to pump into the economy. But then at some point, we realized that apartment buildings got too expensive and they weren't cash flowing. So what do? Well, we pivoted to restaurants. Now, maybe restaurants aren't your thing. If you're a plumber, maybe you should be thinking about, buying a small plumbing company or starting one on the side yourself that you can then go and you can then, grow into something bigger. There are all these different things that you can do. If you're an electrician, same thing. Any of the trades, you can be thinking in that direction. There's all these different opportunities out there for you to get going and start to doing something. But is it on your priority list? And are you then, once you put it on that priority list, are you spending the amount of time necessary to move the needle, right? And that's the big thing, is to get that first rotation of the boulder. What do they say in physics? Something in motion stays in motion, most likely, right? Well, that first rotation of the boulder is the hardest. That's when you got to push the most. That's when your priority list is so important, because you have to stay focused. And the way you stay focused is by understanding what is that list of priorities and where are you going to spend the time and what are you going to give up to get it. You might have to give up some gym time. Now, if it's going to affect your mental health, I'd say no. But you might have to give up some in order to push your priorities. Now, does that mean that Vic is telling you, become unhealthy? No. Not saying that. I'm just saying that if you're spending 3 hours a day in the gym, well, unless you own it, it's pretty tough. It's going to be able to be very difficult for you to become wealthy if you're putting those 3 hours in every day or 2 hours in every day at the gym. I'm sorry. It's going to be. Okay? It's going to be difficult. Maybe you need to cut that down a little bit. If you're spending 3 hours a day in front of the TV, maybe you need to cut that down. If you're putting 4 or 5 hours on your phone every day, maybe you need to. There is so much bullshit in your life that the important stuff, you typically do not have to give up much of the important stuff. Now, occasionally, you might not have to be able to go to a birthday party or an event or a game with your kids. You might have to give up one of those games. Why? Because you may have tenants moving in. You may have a thing going on, something, right? That has to take precedence because it's more emergent than the other. That's what's happening. So will you have people in your life that will be disappointed with some of your decisions on a day-to-day basis? Absolutely. Why? Because it'll affect them at the moment in a negative, how they perceive it in a negative way. Get the hell over it. Because once you gain your financial freedom, then you can spend all your time doing exactly what the hell you want to do. If you want to spend 20 hours a week watching football, then go spend the 20 hours. Why? Because you've got income coming in the door in which you do not have to go get and clock time on a job to make. It's called financial freedom. And that's what your goal has to be. If that's why you're watching, because that's the only reason you'd be watching this channel. I know I'm good looking. I do say that tongue in cheek, right? But the reason you're watching this channel is because some of what I'm telling you is resonating. Yes, we talk about fear. We talk about all these other things. But part of this, it's all, getting wealthy is all in the head. It is all mindset. But there are some things that where the rubber hits the road, and that's creating this list of priorities, okay? What are your list of priorities? They're different than the next person. They're different than your buddy or your girlfriend. They have different pressures in life. They have different parents. They have different kids, or they're not married, or they're married, or whatever. But you got to be able to see through the bullshit. As they say, you got to be able to see the forest through the trees. Yes, you gotta be careful of the trees so you don't walk into them. Hey, sometimes life is a minefield, But we don't know how easy we have it in this country right now. That's right. We don't know how easy. I just got done watching the miniseries Pacific about World War II, what took place with the soldiers going to war in Japan, in the Japanese theater, in the islands, Okinawa, Iwo Jima, all that. And now I'm watching Band of Brothers. Why? Because these people put it on the line. They got out there. They literally were dying left and right for their priority. Their priority was that they wanted to fight for their country, and that has been every soldier's, fight for the person that's standing next to them, fight for what's going on, and fight and die, willing to die. No one here is telling you that you have to die for your priorities. But in history, all through this country's history and throughout all of history, there have been plenty of people that their priorities require them to have to be willing to die for their priorities. I'm just telling you, you got to turn off the freaking TV or shut off the phone and get to it. And when I talk about World War II, I'm not discounting Vietnam or Korea. I'm not, or everything that's happened in Afghanistan and Iraq and all that. Not discounting any of that. Those guys all had to put their life on the line for their priorities. You just have to now give up something that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's really the bottom line here. Because if you do that, what's the payoff? Because we all talk about this thing, financial freedom. But what is the payoff? Well, let me tell you. Let me share a little what the payoff is. It's to be able to spend that time, hang out with your kids, with your grandkids. It's be able to spend more time with your spouse, your significant other. Do what you want to do. You want to go golfing at 2 o'clock on Tuesday? You don't have to tell anybody. You just go golfing on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. You want to get on an airplane and fly to Vegas? You want to go to Europe? Do anything? You get on that plane. Why? Because you've got money coming in every week, every month, that's paying all your bills and moving you towards more and more wealth. That's, if you want to talk about what's in it for me being you, that's what's in it. It's mobility. It's the ability to come and go as you want. It's knowing that your bills are paid. The electric bill is going to be paid. There's no give. It's going to be taken care of. Now, yes, you might say, well, I'm paying that now. Yes, but you're clocking 40 or 60, 50 hours a week, whatever it is, in order to do that. You are giving up your time to do that. Now, if you say to me, Vic, I want to just keep doing that for the next 40 years and I'll be happy, good luck with that. Have fun. But if you want to become wealthy and you want to have your financial freedom over the next 4, 5 to 10 years, because you can't get your financial freedom overnight. It's not going to happen. But there is a process where you can still live your life, maintain most of your family obligations, but set your priorities so that when something has to get done, that's what has to get done. Because that's how you reorient yourself in order to reach success, financial success. So you get your financial freedom so that you get your mobility. You buy your time back. It's no different when you're paying someone to come and landscape your house so you can go do what you need to do. You're buying that time back so you can reallocate your time to a priority that will make you a whole lot more money than the 65 or 75 bucks it's going to take to cut your grass. That's what the reality of this is. It's how do you prioritize your time in order to maximize your activities, to maximize your income and net worth. That's really what the bottom line here is, people. It's getting an idea around this. And once you can accept this, once you can say, hey, this is my goal. My goal is to become financially free. So now get your priorities right. Pick your vehicle that you're going to run. And like I said, right now you might say, well, Vic, you keep telling me that real estate's it, but it's not hit right, but it's not good right now. I get it. You know, I was listening to Fertitta, Tillman Fertitta, and I've talked about this before. When he started in real estate, it was in the 80s. And then the 1990s came along. And then in the 1990s, real estate sucked for a period of time. So what did he do? He moved over into the restaurant business. He started opening restaurants. In other words, if one vehicle is not working at the moment, find another one. Find another one. You can always add back in the real estate. Sometimes the real estate comes along with the restaurant. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you have to start to think about. That's what you have to start to look at. Don't be so narrow-minded. That's why with this channel we call it Max High Performance Real Estate Entrepreneur, because you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to be an entrepreneur. That's really the bottom line. Now, that might be in real estate. That might be single families. That might be multifamily. Okay. Or that might be in opening up a plumbing business. Why? Because you're a plumber. And you're going to do this on the side. You're going to start your own plumbing business on the side. And then at some point, you can scale that up. You can buy other plumbing companies. You can hire more people for yourself. You can quit where you're working and go full-time on your business. There's always these opportunities. You have to be able to see them, uncover them, visualize the success around them, and set the priorities. V. Rigoni, Max, High Performance Real Estate Entrepreneur. V. Rigoni, Max, High Performance Real Estate Entrepreneur. Remember, what do I always say? Think big. Start now. Grow fast.